Today I've got the absolute honour of sitting down with a true icon of punk, metal and skate culture, the one and only Mike Muir, frontman and founder of Suicidal Tendencies. Since the band first erupted out of Venice in the early 80s, ST have been more than just music. They've been a movement, blending hardcore punk, thrash, funk and a whole lot of attitude. Mike has carried the band through decades of change, breaking barriers and inspiring generations of fans. So let's dive into it with the psycho himself, Mike Muir. Firstly, mate, stoked to have you on. Thank you so much. How are you?
Doing great. Doing really good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Mate, we cannot wait to see you out here in a few more months' time. What are you most looking forward to about getting back out here?
Um, well, I'm one of those people that answer questions the way that I talk. And first thing, I'm going straight to the Gold Coast. I'm getting there early and just going to the beaches
Fuck
and
yeah.
seeing some friends, family, and getting there a little early. And then before we do the flight to Perth. And but yeah, I grew up on the beach. I always love the beach, and always love. That's kind of the first thing. The flight gets in the morning, and they say for the first day you just got to power through it and go to the beach and have a great day.
Nice, nice. And you lived out here for was it like 6 years you were living out in Australia?
Yeah, I was living slash commuting, and commuting doesn't really work,
Yeah.
and living there is a little bit difficult um, because you can't really commute,
It's a,
and
it's a,
so
full, it's a full-time commitment out here.
yeah, and there's so much that I need to do out here, so uh, yeah, that's the unfortunate part, but we make every excuse to get out there that we can, and as the joke that isn't the joke is we're already planning the next time, and we haven't even got there this time, so
I love that. I love that.
it's good, yeah.
Could you see yourself maybe one day moving back out here and, settling down out here when everything gets a bit more quiet for you?
Well, we used to joke when I tell people where I was. I go, Queensland, where Brisbane's, the capital. You land in Brisbane, you go down south, and you go to Gold Coast to party. You go east, and up in Easton, you go to Sunshine Coast to retire and die. And I was living in the Sunshine Coast, and I loved it there because there's just so few people, and there's a lot more obviously now, but the idea of there being beaches where it's not packed and there's not skyscrapers all around it is amazing to me. But I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of friends and a lot of family there, but I got a lot family here, and with the kids in school and stuff, it's definitely difficult. But no, I try to go there as much as I can, and I really enjoy being there.
Yeah, awesome. I'm fortunate enough to live in that sort of lifestyle. If I poke my head out the window, I'm looking at the ocean. I'm a couple of minutes walk away from an isolated, quiet beach. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I feel it. Unfortunately, no waves. That'd be amazing if there were some waves here, so I can have a paddle as
yeah.
well. But um,
Well, it when I was there before, where I was, there's the Mooloolaba. It doesn't have any waves, but which is great when you have young kids.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, good for me. I love taking the dogs down there. So
yeah, yeah.
now, look, you've been the consistent member of the band since the '80s. What's the secret to keeping it alive this long?
I think that you have to have a purpose and a belief, and you got to have a lot of love, got to have a lot of passion, got to have a lot of hate, and kind of know how to handle the hate. My dad said hate, couldn't, is like acid. It could, corrode you inside, or hate could be like gasoline that motivates you to uh, power through and deal with the things that you don't want to deal with to get to the other side, not to quit and that. So I think that I've been very fortunate to be with a lot of people that I like, a lot of people I don't like, but to learn from mistakes that other people make, and be with a lot of great musicians. And we just did a couple shows with Infectious Grooves with Robert Trujillo, from Metallica, and used to be in Suicidal. And Brooks played on these when he started playing Infectious when he was 14, and now he's in Avenged Sevenfold. And we went to Australia. He wasn't available because he was on tour with Avenged. And it's just a great getting back together with those guys having a good time and having fun. And the best thing though is they have a very, very, very serious work ethic, and fun is the definition of fun. My dad said fun is just not like getting, wasted and not remembering things. Fun is when you work hard at something, you do it to the best of your ability, and you look back afterwards and go, yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. I did. I prepared so that, the way that it went is, the best that it could. And I'm happy with that. So I think that's the whole situation. And then, with specifically with this tour, very fortunate because we're doing like all the levels, we're able to we did just play with Metallica out in the shows in the States and playing the big ass football stadiums. We're playing with Metallica in huge, I don't know what you guys call them, but the football stadiums we call them here. Then we're doing the Suicidal shows, and then I'm ending it doing a couple Psycho Myco shows, in really small clubs in Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast. So it's able to do all the different levels and enjoy and appreciate everyone we're at.
I love that. I'm in a band as well, and so being on stage on a huge stage in front of a big crowd is amazing. But there's something
Uh,
about being able to connect, playing a floor show, and things like that, being able to connect right in front of people. I love that as well. So
uh.
yeah,
Well, for me, more on the Psycho Michael, it's kind of we 1999 we did the Warp Tour,
I was
and
there.
it, yeah, it was very different back then, and there was a lot of the people that maybe saw us when we played with Alice in Chains didn't go there, and it was a really, especially in some of the small places, really really young crowd. And that was with Brooks when he first got in Suicidal, and Josh, who plays with Psycho Michael, and we were playing songs because the Freedom record hadn't came out, and we were able to play songs that weren't even out, and it gave us kind of a chance to be that new band. And when you're a new band, you're playing songs you don't have a record out, so you're playing songs and that aren't out. And then as you're a band, you don't play things until the record's out, and you try to promote a record or whatever. That's the stereotypical thing. So I was able to do that. And so doing like the Psycho Michael shows allows me to be able to do songs, play songs before they're released, because that record's not coming out till early next year. And being a little club, play stuff that no one's heard, and that's kind of what music's about. So like I said, I get the whole gamut of all the different things and experiences, and um, that I massively appreciate being able to do that.
No, that is amazing. Like you're saying, 99. I caught you guys in 99 on the Warp Tour. You were actually extremely kind to me that day and made a very young man.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I wasn't there. We got to stop this nonsense right now. I got a reputation I got to live up to. I don't, no, no, no. You're supposed to call me an asshole when I walk behind. What'd you say? No, no, no. Don't get good things started now. No,
But
no.
no, look, you signed
Yeah.
my ticket stub. You made me feel like I was part of the ST Army as a young man,
Well,
and so I was very, very thankful.
I actually had it's that word appreciation, and it comes in different ways. And the only reason why we were on that tour is because there's two bands that canceled, and I guess a couple times it's traditional happened with the Warp Tour, and they replaced them. And the promoter, who I had a lot of respect for, said he said, you know what? They gave a list of bands to replace. He goes, you can put the other band whatever, but we want Suicidal Tendencies.
Yes.
And they kept putting bands. The Warped Tour was putting different bands and this and that. He goes, nope, Suicidal Tendencies. Nope, Suicidal Tendencies. And so that's why we got on there. And so I was very appreciative of that, because we're used to people crossing us off and not standing up for us. And that was really special. The other thing was there was like a lot of young people back then. It was much smaller, and so a lot of people gave him a chance. And we played a lot of smaller places. I'm not sure which one you were at, but you were able to be there, and you saw a lot of people that was like me when I was younger. I'd be like, "Whoa, I'm going to go to this and check it out," And so there's a certain excitement about that, especially with younger people, like my parents aren't here, and all that. And so it was really cool. And it felt like this is old school Venice, kind of thing and stuff, and it
Yeah.
was like when your friends, little brothers or little sisters or whatever there, you treat them right, you treat them with respect. And one of the things that, I always remember is when I was young and I people that were older, especially, talked me down to me and stuff. And I go, I'm never going to do that. Never going to talk down to people, and not going to make any assumptions and that type of thing and stuff. And so, we sold our own t-shirts and we'd hang out. And so we met a lot of people that we're still, friends with and stuff, so that was, a great, to get in the old Winnie and, drive on the wrong side of the road. That was a great experience.
That was a good time. Well, I was at the Adelaide show, which was probably one of the
Okay.
smallest of the shows.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, as a young kid from a country town as well, I was just blown away. And you guys were always like the band. I was a young skate rat, and that hip hop was the whole culture. But you guys were the band that were the crossover band that it was acceptable for a kid like me to listen to, which led me into, I sing in a death metal band now, so
Yeah.
um, you led me into a whole bunch of stuff. Mate, we'll round things up. I know you're really busy. I've got a couple of just quick fire questions for you.
Yep. Yep.
Who's your favorite band?
Uh, Last weekend when Infectious played Infectious Grooves, Suicidal. And next week this week we fly out to Cypress Hill. Suicidal's my favorite band.
No, I love that. I love that. Mate, if you could, you've done so many collabs. If you could do a collab with anybody, like your dream collab, who would it be?
Uh, well, I'm very happy in the last week. There's a couple of things that happened. I can't even say,
Oh,
and people always say that, but we're doing a couple things that I'm really 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 excited about, and and there's so many of the things that we've done that never would have thought and been able to do, type of thing. And we've actually turned down quite a few things. That there's one that my brother does Dogtown skates,
yes.
and he got in touch with me. And there's a huge, one of the biggest uh, fashion companies. I won't say which one, but they got in touch with them, and he says, "Yeah, they got in touch. They want to use some artwork." And I'm like, "Bro, you got to do that, man." And he goes, "Oh, what are people going to say?" I go, "Fuck what people say.
Yeah.
No one would believe that, this and that." And so then I go talk to him, man. Get back, and so he got back to me, and he goes, "Oh, they actually wanted to use Suicidal." I said, "No, man, I can't do that." So, but I thought about it. I just couldn't do it. But we were on Miami Vice when it was the biggest show in America years back, and all of these things where people talk crap about. And I'm like, well, how would you know if you weren't watching it, And so there's a lot of things that I feel very fortunate, and a lot of things that we said no to because just wasn't right for us. But that's one of the things I feel best about is that we're in a position that we can say no to things. And my dad always said, "Man that can't say no doesn't have respect for himself." So a person, and so it's one of those ones that we're very excited about. But yeah, we've done, with companies that, like, when I was a kid, we used to get, went back to school, which they're just going back here. And, I got one pair of shoes, and I get my Vans, and we've done things with Vans, we've done things with Converse, done things with all kinds of, different collabs with different companies and stuff. So a lot of stuff that, like, I never would have thought. I'm really, stoked to be a part of and stuff. But yeah, there's a couple cool things that I'm really happy about.
That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, you've been had so many amazing things. Like you were the first, well, I'm assuming the first non-skater ever on Thrasher magazine on the cover. Um, you know,
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe one. And one of the other things I was really proud about is the irony of they always have what's in and what's out, and we've never been on what's out, but we've been on what's in 7 or 8 times, you know,
I
and
love that.
like in the year things, and I think that's a really cool thing. And you could also see the difference between, you look at the old trans world and the skate when it came up, the way people dressed, fashion, which, whether you like Suicidal or not, that was a very good thing because it was at least to look a little silly. But there's obviously a lot of influence with the Suicidal that came in, and obviously we were influenced because I was a little kid that my brother was a pro skateboarder that just wanted to hang out, and wanted to be like all these other guys, you know.
Yeah, look, your family have been a huge influence on me my whole life. So, growing up as that skate rat, being a little wannabe Dogtowner, listening to you guys. Um, Last question. If you could go back in time and give your 17-year-old self advice, what would it be?
Um, my dad always gave me I wouldn't say advice, but when I was real young, he told me, he goes, when I tell you something, you live in my house, you know where else to go, and give you food, this and that. He goes, I'm telling you what I'd want to know if I was you, and what I believe is what is right for you. And he goes, and if not, he goes, one day you're going to be a lot bigger than me, and you'll come back and say, Dad, what was all that shit you were talking? And I always remembered that. And when I talk to my kids, I do the same thing. And I'm not trying to force any opinions, this and that. I just want to have them have the knowledge that, as my dad said, regret lasts forever. Think before you do it. And that's the advice I've always gone through. And there's been so many times where people have said, "Oh, this is a great opportunity," and I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Oh, hundreds of people would love to do that," and I'm like, "Well, let them do it then."
Yeah,
I don't want to stand in their way, and that's something I'm most proud about is all the times that I've said no to things, and there's nothing that I would change because I was, maybe a little more militant when I was younger, and I felt like the world was against me, and I was going to take it on, and I constantly had to prove myself. But that worked, I think, for me in the music world because I kept the same attitude, and I guess I had kind of maybe had a chip on my shoulder. No one's going to fuck with me in the business and that, but um, you know the reality of it is no one can fuck with you if you don't let them fuck with you. you
yeah,
know
yeah,
so I'm feel very fortunate that I don't have any sadness, disappointment. I talk to people that I randomly run into from other bands that are older. I should have been this kind of thing, and I'm like, wow, I yeah, there's a lot of things, oh, what this and that, but a lot of the stuff that you wish for, I'm sure glad that it's not that way, And
yeah, yeah,
so I'm happy to be where I'm at, and I feel safe and comfortable where I'm at, and I'm with my kids, and we'll be at the airport. Someone comes up and they can't tell the difference if it's an old friend or someone that just knows the band. The way that people talk, hey Mike, what's up? Blah blah blah. And they're like, do you know them? I'm like, nope. And they're like, oh, they just know the band, yeah. And I never realized that, but from them, it's like, oh, they act like they know you, you know what I mean? But with respect, and the way that my old friends, when we talk and stuff, there's a little respect factor and stuff, and that's mutual and cool. So I think that's great. It's like, dude, oh fuck, you that dude, and so that I feel lucky about that because there's a lot of people that can't just go to the store and buy bread, you know,
yeah.
and get something and without being expected to entertain and or you're an asshole if you don't talk to everybody. So I feel very fortunate, happy to be who I am and where I'm at.
No, I love that. Mate, thank you so much for your time today. Suicidal Tendencies out in Australia and New Zealand. Tour starts in Perth on October 31st, rounding it up.
Sold out.
Yes. And it rounds up in Auckland at the Powerhouse on November 18th. Tickets are on sale, so
Cool.
get out there, get your tickets, guys. Mike, thank you so much. I can't wait to catch you guys again out here, and I really appreciate your time today, mate.
Cool. Thank you. You know what? Good talking to you, brother.
You too,
See
mate.
you out at well in are you going to Metallica show?
I'm not sure yet. I'm in South Australia, so I've got to look at
Yeah.
some travel plans as well. But we're
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
working on some plans at the moment.
Okay, cool. Well, if I see you, say what's up. It'd be good to see you, and all the best, man.
I would love to, Mike. Definitely.
Thank you.
Look after yourself, mate.
Peace.
Catch you.